Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie McQuaid from Magnet Forensics, and today we're going to do some mobile acquisitions. With me, you can't see it, but I have a Samsung Galaxy Note 5. The model number is N920P, which is the Sprint model. The P designates that it's for Sprint. So this device in front of me, it's a common device that a lot of people see in the field. So I figured I'd show how you could do various acquisition methods with this device. We're going to go through it. I'm using Magnet AXIOM here. We've got version 1.1.2 that we're using, and let's just jump right in here. So I've got some case details. We're gonna do a quick acquisition first. So I'm gonna call this the Note 5, and I'm gonna say quick, and I'm gonna call my image Note 5 and quick as well. You can call it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. It's your own personal preference there. So I'm going to do acquire an image and process it here. And then we're going to go do a couple of acquisition options for this device. So we can go to the next evidence sources. I can choose, obviously, it's going to be mobile. And then I can choose Android because it's an Android device. And I can either load evidence or acquire evidence. So if I've already acquired this with some other tool, you could load the image already. But I've got the phone connected to my laptop here, so I'm going to choose acquire evidence. And now I get an option for either ADB or recovery method. We're going to do both, one of each. So I'm going to show you both here. We're going to start with ADB. The big difference here is depending on the state of the device and what kind of access you have to it. For the ADB methods to work, that's the quick and the full acquisition. Basically, what you need is you need to have the phone, you need to have the passcode if it's password locked, and you have to be able to unlock the phone. So you need to put it in USB debugging and all of that stuff. For recovery, you have a few more options. Now it has to be a supported specific model that is supported. But if you do have that, you can use that to bypass some passcode protections there. So it is nice. It's a little riskier because there's steps you need to take to avoid wrecking the device. But it's both options are certainly valid, and we're going to do one of each here today. So I'm going to start with the ADB because that's the easiest method and least risky. So we're going to do ADB here, and it already detects my device. We can see we've got the Android phone here. Here's the model, like I said before. It's the Sprint version. This is running Android 7.0, so it's been updated. The Note 5 does not ship with this OS, but it's been updated to Android version 7, the Nougat OS. And privileged access says no. That means the phone is not already rooted. If it was already rooted, it's great, easy. We can jump right to a full acquisition. But because this one is not rooted, we're limited to that. So, like I said, I've got this phone. It's already unlocked. If this is the first time you're connecting the phone here, quite often, troubleshooting-wise, if the device does not show up, it's usually a driver issue. So I would follow either the troubleshooting guide through here. My device isn't showing up, or go to Samsung's website, download the Samsung USB drivers, and it should come up here all the same. Make sure the device is not in MTP mode. I know a lot of Samsung devices like to default to MTP, so if you go pull down from the menu there, it'll say charging via USB. It'll be the method is charging. It'll be charging only, or it'll be MTP or media transfer. You want it to be in charging only for this to work because MTP is a completely different method and uses different drivers. So as long as you've got that, you want to be able to trust the device. So the first time you connect the device, it'll say, hey, here's an unknown device with this RSA key. You want to trust it, and then you get to this point right here. I've already trusted it for this computer, so it doesn't come up again, but you'll get a little warning on the screen here if that's the case. Now for acquisition types, you have two options. You have either the quick or the full. The quick should work for any Android device. We try to make it work for any Android device. The limitation is that like I said, it needs to be unlocked and in USB debugging mode. To get it into USB debugging mode, you would go to the settings, you would go about device, go to the build number, tap that 7 times. That's how it works for most Android devices. That will unlock developer options. Go into developer options. In there, it should say enable USB debugging or something like that. You can enable that, and then the device is here. So as long as you can do that, you can do either the quick or the full. Now, the quick is basically an ADB backup, And it will also install an agent. We'll go in and install an agent to try to pull some additional data that doesn't normally get backed up. Very good, but it doesn't always include all the data you might need. The full will attempt to root the device for you. So if it's not already rooted here, which says privileged access no, it will attempt to root the device for us. If it fails, then it defaults back to the quick. If it's successful, then it'll do a full physical dump of the phone. Now, this isn't running Android version 7, like I said previously. I know there is no roots in here for that, so that would fail on a full. So we're not going to do that. I'm going to jump right to the quick and get a quick acquisition here. So I'm going to choose quick. I'm going to add it to my case. Here we get a warning about downgrading mobile apps. So I'm not going to show this today, but it's worth mentioning. What you can do here is connect the device, and a lot of the apps will update to newer versions, and it will back up less data. Skype, Facebook, a lot of these apps are no longer backing up as much data. So in some of these circumstances, you can actually attempt to get an older version of the APK on there that would include the backup. Now, obviously, you are changing the data on the device slightly, a little bit more than you would normally, but if it gets you the database or the chat database or anything like that you need, it might be worth it. But again, it depends on your investigation and what you're willing to do for it, but it can be very helpful in investigations. We're not going to do it right now because we're just going to do a straightforward quick acquisition. I'm going to hit OK, and it gets queued up here, ready to go. It's ready to be imaged. So now I can follow through just like any other acquisition or analysis. I can add other devices if I wanted to, but we're going to just focus on this one today. I can add keywords, I can calculate hashes, I can do all of that stuff. I can choose my artifacts. I'm just going to leave all of the defaults on here. I'm not going to change anything because we're just going to focus on acquisitions. I'm going to go to the last screen here for analyze evidence, and it's ready to go. I'm going to hit go, and it'll begin. So we can see here, it'll start reading it. It'll look through, it'll start in just a second, there we go, and it'll begin imaging, and it'll work with the agent first, and then it'll do an ADB backup. And again, you won't be able to see this on the phone, but now it says running ADB backup, and now I can see on the phone that it's going to run that full backup. I don't need to touch the phone at all. I can just see it happening on the phone, so I know it's working. I can let this complete. I know it takes, it's a really quick one. This is a small image. So what it'll do is it'll acquire the phone, and then it'll process the data for you and give you some case data for it. Because we're running all the artifacts, it'll go through all the artifacts. So I'm going to pause it right here, and we'll wait for that to finish. Okay, so the processing or the acquisition and processing has completed. It took about 4 minutes to complete both. I think the acquisition took about a minute and a half, and then the processing took the rest of the time. It's it's a very fast. It's faster than a normal device, mainly because there's not a lot of data on this phone. This is a pretty empty phone, so normally they take a little bit longer than that, but generally mobile acquisitions don't take too long. So we can see it's completed there, and if we wanted to, if I pull over examine, you can see the completed results. Look at see, there's only about 1,800 results for this case, so not a huge deal there. We're not going to actually analyze the data. I just wanted to talk about the acquisition. So now we've got a quick acquisition. But if what you were looking for wasn't here, you might need to go back and either do a full or a recovery method. So let's go do one of the recovery methods. Like I said, the full wasn't going to work, so let's do a full here. So I'm going to launch process, and we've got AXIOM process launching now. Okay, so we've got AXIOM process here up and running again. So I'm going to create new case. I'm going to name my case a little different than the last one. So I'm just going to go Note 5 recovery. Oops, if I can spell. There we go. And we'll do the same for the image. I store my images in different locations than my case files. It's just habit for me. It's up to you where you want to save the data. You could save it all to the same spot, but that's just my my workflow there. So case data there. Evidence sources, we're going to again go to mobile, we're going to go to Android again, and we're going to acquire evidence just like we did before. But this time, instead of choosing ADB, we're going to choose recovery. Now, if I choose recovery, now here you need to choose the specific model of phone. With ADB, it can work for almost any Android device that you're looking for, whereas the recovery method is going to be very specific for the model that you're looking for. And like I said before, the model is the SM N920P. So I'm going to do N920P. There's the SM N920P, which I said is supported. Now this list is empty when you first install AXIOM and get it up and going. You need to actually download the recovery images. This is a really big file, so we don't ship it with AXIOM. If you go download now, it'll take you to the site on magnetforensics.com where you can download them, install them, and then you get that huge list that you can go through and identify the devices. But here we got the device that I mentioned already. I've got it selected here, so I'm going to choose next. And you get a bit of a warning here. Now, like I said, the ADB method is pretty straightforward and minimal risk to it, but there is a bit of risk involved with the recovery methods. You need to know the type of device you're looking at. First off, you have to know the exact model number. It has to work for that. Even if the model numbers are close, do not risk it because there is risk of either destroying evidence or bricking the phone there. So you need to be very careful when choosing that. So make sure you have the right model number, and then you want to make sure that the device you have has an unlocked bootloader and does not have FRP turned on. So I've checked that already for this device. I know it's off. When you put it into download mode, you can check if FRP is on or not. It'll flat out say it. I can also go into the phone when it's unlocked, look at it, and know that OEM unlock is enabled. So I know that the bootloader is unlocked, and I can actually use that. So be careful. A lot of AT&T Verizon devices, especially for Samsung devices, have locked bootloaders. I don't think I've come across a Verizon device that doesn't have a locked bootloader. So it's a Verizon, you're usually right out of luck. But make sure you check this before you do it because there is risk of damaging the phone or losing the data that you're looking for there. So be very careful. Otherwise, if you've done your check, you know what you're doing, hit start. There's a bit of a progress here we're going to step through. Make sure there are no devices in download mode connected to the computer. Okay, so I'm going to disconnect the phone and I'm going to put it in download mode. So first I'm going to hit next. It's not connected, and I can put it in download mode. Basically, all you need to do for that is power off the phone and then hold down the volume down, home, and power buttons at the same time. It'll boot into download mode. So I'm going to do that right now. Just powering down right now. All right, it's off. So now I can put it in download mode. I'm going to hit the volume down, home, and power buttons all at the same time. Hold that. And just a second. And now it's in download mode. It'll say, are you sure you want to go to download mode? You hit the volume up button to go in there. Yes. Obviously, you can't see this. This is just me putting the phone in download mode. It's pretty straightforward to do that. And you will get the status there. It'll say Odin mode for Samsung devices. You will see FRP lock off, which means FRP is off, which is good, and that's what we want. So now I'm going to connect the device. Connecting here. It'll take just a second to recognize it. There we go, and it's going to download and install a specific driver for download mode. Good. And now it's flashing the recovery mode. And you might see a blue bar or a status bar moving across on the download mode screen. You might or might not see that. Depends on the phone. I've got one here, but we'll let it go and see how it goes here. So now I need to put it in recovery mode, so it's done flashing. So I'm going to power the device down. And to put it in recovery mode, you're going to push the volume up, the home, and the power button. So not the volume down, the volume up button. It just takes a second. Okay, so it's in recovery mode, and it's installing, and it's finding it, and we're good. All complete. And so from here, I can choose next. And you can see there's the device again, but look at what's changed here. We've got the Samsung device, and we can see privileged access says yes. So now I can actually do a full acquisition here instead of just doing the quick. And I can hit add to case, and it gets queued up just like we did before. I can go through all these same settings, but I'm just going to skip them all, leave all the defaults, and I'm going to just hit ready, analyze evidence. So what this one will do, this one will take a bit longer. It's going to do a full physical acquisition of this phone. So it's going to take quite a bit longer to do the acquisition, and then it's going to analyze that just like we had before.